This is Blues View. Coming up, are Blues going off the boil? We look ahead to Wigan's trip to St Andrews, and Andy Walker answers your questions. Hello and welcome to Blues View. I'm Paul Bradley. Colin Tatham can't join us today, so I'm joined in our studio instead by Andy Walker. Hi Andy.
Hi Paul.
First of all, Andy, you're at the cottage at the weekend. Disappointing result for Blues. Just talk us through it.
Well, it was an interesting game really because neither team was particularly outstanding, and probably overall a draw would have been a fair result. I mean, the Chris Baird own goal that gave Blues the lead came out of nowhere and in some ways knocked the stuffing out of Fulham. But the Cottagers grew as the first half went on, but never really looked like troubling Birmingham too much. I mean, I don't think Joe Hart was really tested. And then in the second half, obviously, two moments of inspiration from Damien Duff and Bobby Zamora is what won it for Fulham. But Blues could have had their own moment of inspiration had a certain James McFadden's shot gone in that hit the underside of the bar. But it wasn't to be, and Blues will move on to the next fixture.
Now, there's a few worries amongst fans now that Blues might be going off the boil a bit, might be doing a little bit of a hull like they fell down the league last season. Are they right to worry or not?
Not particularly, certainly not to the degree that Hull collapsed last season, because Alex McLeish has admitted himself that Blues are off the boil at the moment. And he's also, in a clip of audio we'll hear in a moment, he's emphasising the fact that he still has essentially got a squad of rookies. I mean, most notably, he usually highlights the fact that Scott Dann and Roger Johnson, it's their first Premier League seasons. Keith Fahey as well, it's the first time he's played in the Premier League. And even some of those players that have been Premier League players before, the likes of Cameron Jerome and Joe Hart, are still young and are still learning. So they'll need these blips to kind of strengthen as character and to improve as players.
Well, he mentioned there that Alex McLeish said that Blues have gone off the boil. We caught up with him after the game, and here's what he had to say.
That Fulham had a couple of players that made a difference, which is what we're aspiring to. You know, we're aspiring to that level. But we kept trying. You know, we still James McFadden nearly had the winner, which would probably have been the winner if it had gone in. I don't think we would do anything different to the way Fulham play, to be honest. The way that Roy sets his team up, the 4-4-2 with their strikers working back. So they have that, but they have maybe that wee bit more experience than us. We've got a young team here who have excelled. Well, some young rookies in the Premier League who have excelled, and they were up against a really wily campaigner today in Zamora, and he was perhaps the difference.
Well, we heard from Alex McLeish there. We've also got some questions from you again today. And first of all, we've got a question from Brian Nash, who asked Andy, if Blues meet Man City in either the semi-final or the final of the FA Cup, what's going to happen with Joe Hart?
Well, unfortunately for Joe Hart, he won't be able to play for Birmingham City because it's just essentially the terms of a loan deal. Any other loan deal, you can never play against your parent club. And that's the instance on this occasion. I mean, Alex McLeish did joke to some of the press during one of the Monday sessions recently that there was a clause in the contract that would allow him to play before breaking out into a wry smile, which I suppose in some way sums up McLeish's view how, he'd love him to play if they do get far. That is a big if at the moment. But no, unfortunately, it'd be Mike Taylor taking his place between the sticks.
So possibly there could be some Wembley heartbreak for Hart there.
There could indeed, yeah.
Okay, well, we've had more questions as well, Andy. We've had a couple via the internet, and Monsterhead wants to know about Benitez. He says that we've got to play him more, otherwise Blues basically lose. Whereas other people on our comments pages have been saying that he's gone off the boil anyway. It's McLeish right to drop him. What's your thoughts on the matter?
Well, it's an interesting one really, because you can't forget the fact that Christian Benitez and Cameron Jerome was the forward partnership that triggered that incredible unbeaten run from Birmingham, a record-breaking run. And whether or not certain individuals played well, better than others in that team, it was a whole team effort, and they clicked and they went on that storming run. You can't ignore that. Then again, I mean, Derby in the FA Cup was one example where Christian Benitez was simply poor, and you saw that as he was dropped for the Fulham game. So it's an interesting one, because this is why you have a squad, and this is why you have several, people pushing for certain positions, because now Alex McLeish will have to experiment, and maybe it will give Benitez a bit of a wake-up call that he needs to show that maybe he needs to step it up a gear.
Okay. And we've had a lot of questions in about McLeish and his contract this week. Can you give us an update on how things stand at the moment?
Well, he was due to meet Carson Young after the Fulham game. I think Carson Young has actually got a house down in South London, so no doubt they met there. But there is no real rush about this situation. I think the only reason why McLeish is openly talking about it and openly willing to sign a new deal is the fact that it's been leaked, it's come out there. The fact that the new board are willing to offer a deal has kind of forced McLeish to give his stance on it.
Okay, well, thanks for that, Andy. Like we said, it's Wigan up next for Blues, and join us next week for more news and views on that. That's all for today. Goodbye.